you dare run. All of our words were left undone. Don't run for your life, don't you dare run. You and I were meant to collide through the world, now here through your eyes. You and I were meant to collide forever. You and I were meant to collide through the world, now here through your eyes. You and I were meant to collide forever. Brighter than all the diamonds in the sky. No turning back now, it's you and I. You and I were meant to collide through the world, now here through your eyes. You and I were meant to collide forever. You and I were meant to collide through the world, now here through your eyes. You and I
time it seems I'd rather see you in my dreams. And every chance to dance I'll take if I can't see you again. I'd rather see you in my dreams. And every chance to dance I'll take if I can't see you again. We could be listening for answers, waiting to be set free. You came across this moment, and I'm so thankful you shared it with me.
Alrighty, welcome folks. This is going to be, what is this, week 3 of the CTL's 9th season. Got a matchup here. It's going to be Paragons of Perfection versus House of Renegades. I am TB Ham. We'll be casting this today. Just actually had a little bit of time and some boredom, and I feel like some more things in the CTL need to be cast, so what better person to do it than the person who's going to complain about it the most, probably. So go ahead and get right into this, because it's there's a lot of long matches, I'm pretty sure. Just looking at the file size of these replays, so this could actually take a little bit of time, but yeah, should be a good time. We're starting off on Dead Wing with a diamond matchup, ZVP. I'm going to get into this. Spawning in the top left here of Dead Wing in red, our Zerk player from Paragons of Perfection. This is Amon X. And his opponent in the bottom right in blue from the House of Renegades, our Protoss player, it's Vegeta, who apparently is having some issues with his laptop. Probably his fan is going nuts trying to keep up cooling it. If he's playing StarCraft on a laptop, that's generally what happens. So would not be surprised if that were the case. A PvZ large map. Both players can, go economically focused for a good portion of the game and feel pretty safe about it. And we do see a low ground pylon here for Vegeta. His pro is also moving out, which still could be a cannon rush, but I wouldn't necessarily expect this first pro to be leaving if that were going to be the case. But he may want to try and do that. This can be a good map to start off with a cannon rush if you're able to get in there unabated, unknown, completely unscattered. Can't do a ton of damage, be extremely annoying, but Game on X actually may get a little bit lucky. He does see the probe pop in his vision there for just a split second, so he will know there's at least one probe on the map, but without a forge actually being thrown down here relatively quickly, I essentially doubt we're going to be seeing any sort of cannon rush, and more likely just going to be a Nexus first, and likely going up, well, it is going to be a pull first here from Aim on X, so won't be a Nexus first versus a Hatch first. Aim on X choosing to play a little bit safer than trying to play for a little bit of a greedier opener here in this first set. For those of you unaware of the CTL, it is a best-of-9 team league. All the sets do matter. This is a pro league format, so the matchups are decided at the beginning of the week, and then players have a little bit of time to prepare for their opponent and see what they can do for their team. This is the first of 9 sets. We do have diamond to start off with, and we have gold, plats also up. And this is, you know, available to bronze and silver players. There just aren't too many of them in the community left right now. So it's a lot of diamond, a lot of plat, and a lot of gold players you see this season, but no big deal. This is a lower league team league. We do see a lot of really cool games, so excited to see. This is my first time casting an actual CTL matchup in a pretty long time, actually. I've been doing a lot of other things and just haven't had the same amount of time that I used to have, so it's been a while since I've actually done the best of 9 series here. So I have to buckle myself up, get a little situated to do this, but this game already turning out to be pretty standard. Pool first opener, we're not seeing a lot of lings on the map or anything, just the first 2 just to push away the scouting probe, which I assume they will get a little aggressive on the map and try to see what they can do. First gas is on the way here for a Zerg player, so he's going to be able to get up to speed pretty quickly, in all honesty, with this hatchery coming up as well. He doesn't have a second queen on the way actually just yet, so I'm kind of waiting for that second queen. Oh, instead of a second queen, he's actually going for a third hatch, so he realized his opponent went for a Nexus first. He realized he's going to be pretty safe. He's going to go ahead and take that quick third hatchery, and I mean, on this map, there's no reason not to, really, especially when you're going to be defending this small, well, not small, but this decently small ramp here for your third base, compared to a lot of third bases on a lot of maps that are more open, a lot more difficult to actually defend, looking more like this base down here, but have to see what both players decide to do. We haven't seen much gas come down for either player. We do have one gas here for Vegeta. If he actually stays on just a single gas, this could be a really, really quick, powerful push. We already have 2 gateways out. I'm not sure if that was meant to just trap the probe or trap the drone that was coming in or what, but that's a really quick second gateway, considering there's no other tech actually out on the map just yet. There's no forge either, so this could be a really, really powerful gateway push coming from Vegeta to start off our matchup this week. Speed has started here for Aim on X, so once he's able to get that finish, he will be on the map, and at least probably, hopefully, for his sake, denying some pylons being put down if there's indeed going to be a lot of gateways that are coming out. But with just 2, we do see Chrono on the Cybercore as well. There's going to be a lot of minerals here available for Vegeta. He does have a second gas on the way. Whether or not that's going to be for a fake or if he's actually going to use that gas. Assume if he wants to actually make a chunk of Stalkers, I mean, he's going to want to have at least 2 gases compared to just having a single one, but still, only 2 gases at this point. We see 3 more gateways about to come down. It's going to make 5. It means when these 3 finish up, a 5 gateway, 6 gates now, actually, with an extra 4th gateway thrown down here. That's a whole lot of gates. Chrono is still going down on the Cybercore, and he skipped pretty much every single early unit he could possibly have, so had our Zerg player actually tried to go for some sort of weird bust by himself, there wouldn't be much to actually defend this. And there is a Mothership Core for a Protoss player. It's got energy for 1 overcharge, but that's not going to really matter because, well, is he actually just going to take his... There's no way he's going to just take his third base, right? I sincerely doubt it now. That's just his beginning forward pylon out there near his third base. One Zergling does catch that this probe is out on the map, so he's going to be able to at least know he has to defend against this probe. And there's a good number of lings out, and with speed finishing up, this probe should be able to get another pylon down. In fact, it should die before it puts that one down. Yeah, speed finishes up. No more pylons, but all the gateways have finished up. There's even a 7th gateway that was built. Is he still on all these gases? Yeah, he's still on all these 2 gases, so it's going to be a whole lot of units here. We have 4 sentries, actually, the first warp in. I mean, this doesn't really look like it's going to be some sort of all-in in the eyes of our Zerg player here. All he's seen are 4 or 5 sentries. Looks like he's just going to take his third base, and I think Vegeta may actually just be backing out of this. He's just going to have 7 gateways for a long time. He's not going to push across the map. Okay, there he goes. Going to get kind of worried if he wasn't going to push across the map and actually do something with this, but Didn't want to go with just his sentries there, so had to wait a little bit longer. Another probe going to get sniped off here by the Lings here of Amon X. So Amon is doing pretty well so far against this, just keeping his opponent back. Kind of the same way you deal with the old style Immortal Sentry all in. You just catch it on the other side of the map and you're golden. As it stands, it's still a lot of gateway units out here for Vegeta, but there's still a decent amount of Lings. We already have a lot of Roaches on the way. There's even some Spine Crawlers in production here over the third base of our Zerg player as well. A lot of Lings trying to run by and get something done, but there's enough sentries, enough zealots out here. Right now they're just delaying, they're just trying to deal with the probe. See that there was a pause, a brief pause here. One pylon does go down. A couple of force fields go down unnecessarily, trying to catch those Lings, don't quite get them. There's a good chunk of Roaches up here on the top here. This will be difficult for our Protest player to push into, but with good force fields he could deal with this pretty effectively. He's going to have to use those force fields very, very well, however. With only Zealots to deal with these Roaches, there really isn't much to fire from afar. A couple Time Warps do go down. There's a lot of units actually in the back here for Vegeta, a lot of Stalkers back there. He's just kind of waiting to get those bunched up, I would assume, so he can actually start pushing in and doing some damage with his force fields, other than just having all of these Zealots. Still no third base down. It looks like he may be trying to take a Nexus here. He did rally a probe out there. Looks like he will be taking his third Nexus. Still a lot of units out here for Vegeta, but just no tech to speak of. He's still just on 7 gateways. His opponent is going up to his 2 Evo Chambers. He's got Hydrogen finished already as well. His Roach speed is on the way, and he's just sitting pretty up on top of this ramp here. A lot of Lings actually getting caught out here, which is pretty rough here for our Zerg player, losing a lot of his army supply. It is just Lings, however, and with so many Roaches out, I'm not sure if Vegeta's going to want to actually push into this, especially with the Spine Crawlers helping out as well. Vegeta doesn't quite know what is up there waiting for him. He's going to actually attack the rocks, but in doing so, he could get surrounded, and I think that's exactly what Amon X is going to do. He's going to try and get around his opponent here, but Vegeta realizing that he's actually going to probably almost catches off a few of those Roaches. He does pull back pretty well. Forces 3 force fields to come out. Meanwhile, he's actually picked up a pylon across the map with those Lings that ran by. This is actually drawing the entire army of Vegeta back to deal with this. Just 5 Lings here, doing a lot of harassment, at least in the multitasking of Vegeta. Vegeta forced to roll back and deal with this. And it looks like Vegeta's just happy to go home and try and macro out of this situation. He's got, I swear he just finished 1 robo facility, I guess not. He's got 1 robo on the way, he's got a couple of forges on the way as well, so he's going to get his own double upgrades rolling. The upgrades did just now start here for Amon X, so it's not like Vegeta is extremely far behind or anything. The worker count is relatively even, only an 8 drone advantage right now for our Zerg player, and he hasn't yet saturated these 2 gases at his third base, so he's not quite going to be able to roll out as many Hydras as he may want to have against what will likely be Immortals to start off with, but still not quite sure what Vegeta's going to be going here, because he's still just sitting on nothing but gateway units at the moment. You do have a second robo facility actually being created. Is there going to be a robo bay thrown down? Waiting for the robo bay to be thrown down so we can go into double Colossus production. We do have an infestation pit on the way, which kind of screams the possibility of those swarm hosts, and especially considering the fact that Amon X knows that his opponent went for a lot of gateway units, means he's not going to have much robotech out right now, but there is a robo bay on the way. He's going to have another robo facility out, so he's going to be able to make 2 Colossus at a time if he does decide to go that route. So if this is indeed going to be swarm hosts, he may just get kind of directly hard countered, depending on how many swarm hosts he's able to get out immediately. But it looks like he's just going to go in a hive for the time being, and maybe go from there. Both players with a pretty large standing army right now, but not wanting to get aggressive on the map with those armies, just waiting back home and still just trying to get their actual economies completely set up. Amon X's 4th hatchery has finished up. He's taking the gases over there as well, starting to throw down some static defense to help that out as well. Just wants to make sure he's extremely safe against anything that can come his way. Probably he hasn't really seen much of anything. All he has seen is the fact that this third base exists. That's really all he knows. He doesn't know what Vegeta is actually going into, and it is charge, it is Colossus, double Colossus production at that. Double upgrades still rolling here for our Protest player, and with Chrono, he's going to start taking an upgrade lead. +1/1 has finished here for Amon X, but he's on the way to his 2/2 as well. Doesn't quite start +2 Carapace. That's lagging a little bit behind here. And if these upgrades get out of hand here for our Protoss player, it's going to be a really nice boon to his army force, I suppose. It'll be really difficult for Amon X to really deal with that if he does start losing the upgrade battle here in this game. Still not a lot of tech really chosen here by Amon X. Maybe Vipers. There we go. We do have Vipers on the way. He is trying to go to that, and as soon as that first Viper is created, we actually see the Templar Archives come down by Vegeta, so he knows what his opponent has to do. I think he's seen the fact that there's no Swarm Host. That means it's going to be Vipers, and what else are you going to be making right now? You can't be making anything else right now. He is pretty well supply capped is Amon X, so he's actually going to be throwing away some units, it seems like. Maybe go scout out this 4th Nexus coming in. See if you can get maybe kill a pylon, kill this probe over here as well. Maybe kill off some of these building units. No, he's just gonna throw them away completely. Scouts out the tech, I guess. He does see that there are Colossus, so he knows that his Viper switch is a legitimate flop, but it's still gonna be really difficult for him to deal with, especially since we do have Storm already on the way. We're gonna have Templar on the way as well pretty soon, and honestly, Vegeta hasn't made very many Stalkers, so he's been using his gas solely on these Colossus, solely on his tech. Honestly, so a lot of charge lots out here as well. There's a probe on the map, actually putting a pylon down here over on the right side. There's another pylon on the left as well. It's going to be used for warpins to harass pretty soon. And Vegeta doing really, really nicely with his scouting here, always sending out these hallucinated Phoenix, making sure he knows exactly what is going on. Doesn't want to be caught off guard by any sort of massive tech switch. We kind of see the late game Protoss thing to do. He's throwing down absolutely every sort of tech path he can. He's got a Dark Shrine on the way somewhere. There it is. Dark Shrine is on the way. He's got a Warp Prison coming out as well, and if Vegeta he doesn't want to supply cap himself necessarily. If he wants to actually be able to use these harassing options, he wants to attack maybe probably into this kind of this third location. But a lot of spine colors already out here for Amon X. And it's not like he's going Swarm Host. He just wants to have a lot of spines already. I guess he may as well. He's got a ton of money right now. 4K minerals already. He's got a lot of Vipers out as well. What is that? 7 Vipers actually already. Going up against 5 Colossus, there's 3 Templar out, so it's going to be a whole lot of Abducts, and even some leftover energy for Blinding Goddess if he wants to use it in that regard. 3-3 is on the way for both of our players here. The 3-3 is going to be a little bit quicker here for the Protoss player. Amon X did make sure to go directly into +3/+3. Didn't want to lose any sort of time with that. I'm not sure if Vegeta necessarily knows about all these Vipers waiting in the waiting back here. Amon needs to get those forwards so you can actually use them effectively. A lot of hallucinated Colossus actually. 4 hallucinated Colossus is going to be really, really difficult for Amon X to actually pick up the correct Colossus to deal with. He does know, he can see that he's got a couple of Overseers. He sends most of his main army forward, and a lot of those Vipers actually get feedback first before they actually do anything. A couple Blinding Clouds do go down, a couple of Yanks going down on this Colossus as well. Both players losing a lot of army. One Storm goes down on all those Hydras. There really isn't much left over here. A lot of actually the leftover army is in the hallucinated Colossus, but Zealots warped in on the left side do clean up this 5th hatchery. There's a lot of blue over here, but not much actual tech. There's a couple of Colossus that do survive. One is at very low health, has 11 kills. Doing a lot of work over here is Vegeta. 104 Lings in production for Amon X, but unupgraded Lings going up against this much army supply right now. 2 Colossus being produced at a time. He's also switching into Mutas, it seems, going for those double Spire upgrades, but doesn't really have the larvae to deal with this. Using so many larvae on those Lings, he made 104 Lings, and now he has no larvae to actually make Mutas for that switch. The switch is seen by Vegeta. He does show that. There's a lot of Stalkers out here. There's even an Archon as well. A lot of Stalkers do get warped in here for Vegeta, so he's going to be able to deal with these Mutas pretty easily. He's going to just go forward with his army and see what he can actually kill in the base here of Amon X. He's going to have 3-3, but it's going to be for his range. He doesn't have any upgrades for the attack on these Lings, which is really, really poor for him in this case. And there's actually a warp-in at the natural base as well here for Vegeta, so he's just pulling his opponent absolutely everywhere. The main army pushing into the 3rd, 4th base location. Mutas are swinging in. There's a lot of them here. They do have +1/+1, but so many Stalkers. The Stalkers do have +3/+3 as well. There's only 1 Colossus remaining, however, so these Lings could do a fair amount of work, but Colossus still doing so well. Those Mutas aren't focusing on the Colossus itself. There we go. They're going to focus on the Colossus now, so he may be able to clean this up, but He's lost pretty much his entire Ling force as well. He's trying to recreate what he can, but he's got nothing left over in the army supply, really. 170 supply to 117. There's still a Zealot in this natural base going to town. He's got 5-6 kills here already, and Amon is going to call the GG there. So Vegeta will take game number 1 here for House of Renegades. So congratulations to him. That was not the correct. Button to press. So House of Renegades will take a 1-0 lead here in the first set. And we're going to go ahead and get into game number 2 here shortly. It's going to be a gold versus gold matchup. I'm not sure what map it's actually going to be on. I suppose I should check that instead of just not checking. So it was an interesting game. Difficult for Amon to deal with the army that Vegeta had. Vegeta, the way he did that... with the opener, with the 7-gate opener, didn't really do anything, but Amon wasn't able to actually capitalize on that, and just kind of snowballed from there. He let his opponent get back into the game a little bit more than he probably wanted to. But yeah, so RNG going to take a quick 1-0 lead here. This is a best-of-9 series, so still a lot of games to go. We do actually have Para OP's captain coming out here in the second set. So I'm going to see if he's going to be able to even that up for his team, or if he's just going to fall by the wayside. We are in our game, and spawning here on the secret screen in the left side of the map. In green, our Protoss player from Paragons of Perfection. It is Corregidor. And his opponent in the top right, in blue from House of Renegades, our Terran player. It's a lot of letters. Let's go with that. Let's go with that. It's a lot of letters. We call him, I don't know, CG. What are that's supposed to be? It's got to mean something. But there's way too many consonants in that name for it to actually be a word or a name of anybody. So I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what to think anymore. A really early probe scout here from Corregidor. So I'm intrigued to see what this probe is going to do. Maybe hoping to catch his opponent not walling and see if he can actually get in and do something weird like a in-base proxy of some sort. But for now, he is just going to get a nice scout off. He's going to deny the barracks placement for a little bit, which is going to be really annoying actually. He does get it down, but he's still going to have to pull a worker at least. He's actually going to pulling 2 workers, and with the scouting SCV, it's a lot of SCVs not actually doing anything worthwhile at the moment already in this game. And it's just going to be annoying for CG to actually continue to deal with it. He's going to actually probably lose this SCV he does, which means he's going to pull off another worker and let that go build. This barracks is getting delayed for such a long period of time. Meanwhile, Corregidor, he's got his gateway down. He's got his first gas on the way as well. Nothing out of the ordinary for him and his mistakes, but this harassing probe with the 1 kill, always an annoyance for a Terran player to deal with, and you saw exactly why. I mean, if you're going to scout with your probe, you have to pull some SCVs. You can't just scout with that probe and not do anything with it. You have to do that. And Corregidor did exactly that. Got a worker kill. Delayed the mining a little bit, delayed the barracks finishing for a little bit as well, which means this puts everything behind right now for CG at this early stage of the game, which is an extreme annoyance. And then looking like Corregidor wanting to hide something, really wanting to get this SCV out of his base as soon as he possibly can, so he can actually throw something down. But let's wait and see what it's going to be. Is it going to be like another gateway? Is it going to be another gas? It's going to be another gateway actually. So quick 2-gate here from Corregidor. This could be annoying. There's a Reaper on the way, so the Reaper will catch wind of this, and it's not like CG isn't walling up. He's going to finish his wall off here with this depot. So he's going to be safe against early Zealots, but Mothership Core already on the way. We expect to see a Stalker on the way as well to help deal with, to get some high ground vision and just be annoying to this wall immediately to start off this game. With the second gateway especially, and we see a Stalker on the way. Mothership Core is already out, but we do have the Reaper. Reaper's going to have to figure out what's going on, and CG is going to have to prepare for this. Otherwise, he's going to lose a lot here. And actually going directly into this reactor means he's going to have really no units to deal with. The Stalkers are going to be coming across the map. He's thinking even like a quick 3-Stalker rush or something like that. But This will be really, really annoying for our Terran play to deal with. Stalker going to pop out here in just a second and really actually push away the Reaper. The Reaper actually may get caught here if he's not careful with it. He could possibly lose that, but Reapers are quite slippery. Corvid are not going to catch us, I don't think. The Reaper will be able to get out. Most Reaper is not going to kill that, but this does mean he can actually push across the map if he wants to. We do have 2 Stalkers now. There's no extra ones on the way, and actually a ton of minerals right now for our Green Protoss player. He needs to throw down a Nexus, and there it is coming down, but he's actually got the money for another Nexus at this point. He's so worried about actually getting the getting that Reaper out that he kind of lost track of what he was doing with everything else. We have a Forge and a Robo on the way, so these early 2 gateways, I don't know what they're for if he's not going to push across the map. I mean, I don't know, it could be frightening CG at the very least. I mean, CG saw everything. He realized that was the case. He's probably going to be thinking there's something on the way. There isn't, however. It's just going to be those first 2 Stalkers, and that's going to be it seems. Corgidor looks like he may be pushing on the map now. He's been looking around for the Reaper, trying to catch that out in the middle of nowhere, but the Reaper's actually doing the same thing. He's just trying to scout around, looking for pylons. He's gone on quite the adventure, actually. Figured out, looked around most of the usual proxy Stargate positions. Just wants to make sure he's not going to be dealing with that in this game. A couple of tech labs here finished up for CG, so he's going to be going for STEM and expect either combat shield. Expect combat shield here momentarily once he actually has the money for that. He doesn't quite have the gas for it really to try to get that upgrade out just yet, especially considering he's making 2 Marauders at a time. Really worried about the amount of gateways he saw early on, and it was already up to 4 gates actually, is Corgidor. So he's made a lot of gateways early on in this game. He actually has a Forge as well, so he could go for a quick upgrade with all these gates, but not really making anything just yet. Both players do have natural bases. The work count relatively even. Meal is going to be evening up that actual economy for our Terran players, so neither player has taken really a massive advantage, but definitely can't say this was a bad start here for Corgidor. It's a lot of bio already out here for CG. He's just now throwing down his factory, however. He's getting his single engineering base, so he's going to go start his own upgrades. And actually a couple of cannons in the mineral lines here for Corgidor, so he's definitely someone who's probably played against Winnemines and lost to them before, so he doesn't want to do that in this game. A nice scan here from CG. He sees that the Robo Bay is on the way, so he knows that's going to be a factor here in this game pretty quickly. We actually have a War Prism on the way for Corgidor, so he's going to want to try and pull back this rather large bioforce that's moving across the map right now. Luckily for Corgidor, he does have the rocks here broken down, so he gets a little bit of a warning to know this is actually on the way. CG is attacking those rocks now, so he does know that it's coming. Reaper actually being a little bit annoying here, picking up a little bit of that Stalker's health as well. There are no sentries just yet, and no gas. There's a little bit of gas. You could make a couple sentries, but if CG just decides to just YOLO stem up this ramp, there's not a lot of units up there. There's a single Immortal. He's got a second one on the way. But beyond that, there really isn't much in the way of army supply here for our Protoss players. So if CG gets moving, he could do a lot of damage, but it looks like he's a little bit worried and just wanted to make sure he wasn't getting some sort of all-in, or maybe he's waiting actually for his first 2 medevacs to come out here. He is grouping up the rest of his army back home. Doesn't want to get completely caught up by everything, but and speaking of being caught out, there's a War Prism already halfway across the map. And CG actually getting a little brave here, throwing down a 3rd command center, throwing it down at the gold base. If that gets scattered out, it's going to be problematic here for our Terran player. The Observer did just fly over this location, but didn't quite see that, so he does know, however, that the army is where it is, so he can send this War Prism into the natural base and probably get a lot of damage done, because there isn't really anything back home to defend this. It still is only on these 3 barracks. There's not too many units back home. There's a couple of Marauders and a few Marines, but not really much to deal with a War Prism harassment if that were going to be the case. And there's already 1 Colossus about to pop out, so pushing with these 2 medevacs, it's a good idea if it comes 2 minutes ago, but at this stage of the game, it's going to be pretty late for it to do a lot of damage to Corgidor. But CG, I wonder if he scouted. No, he didn't. I was going to say, I wonder if he scouted that Observer and he was going to scan. Okay, he did scout it. but he scanned after he picked up with the medevac, so Corregidor can put his stalkers in position, and besides that, he already has some cannons set up in his mineral line, so he's going to stay decently safe from this, but still, drops can be extremely annoying for a Protoss player to deal with, just in general. So if he's going to have trouble with this or not, we'll see, and then beyond that, there's another push coming along the way. Actually, another pause here in this game. Looks like family members / significant others are bothering our players in the early sets here. This Warp Prism still hasn't done anything just yet for Corregidor. It needs to actually get on its, get doing something, because it's doing nothing at the moment. Corregidor kind of realizing that, well, he realized something was on the way, but he's sitting all of his stalkers kind of a weird location. The drop does come in, but stalkers are actually in a really pretty good place to deal with this. Colossus coming in as well to deal with it. But at the same time, a massive army moving and stemming up here for CG. Getting on top of a lot of the tech here. Actually going to get the robo facility, which is nice. It means no more Colossus for a while, but still a really large army here left over for our Protoss player. This Warp Prism as well going to be walking in. Walking into really nothing at the moment, however, so he's going to have to get on out of there. And he gets a robo facility that's nice, but he lost his entire army, and now he has no army left over. 52 army supply to 24 in favor of a Protoss player, and realizing that Corregidor is going to push across the map and probably do a ton of damage pretty quickly. A couple of medevacs actually out in the middle of nowhere, going to get sniped off here. It's kind of sad there for CG. He's losing what little army he has left over. His main ramp is under attack now. The Colossus is getting a little bit too far forward, but not getting focused down, so it's going to survive long enough to do a lot of damage. And just all of the rest of the army here for Corregidor. The production is here and available for CG, but it's a little bit too late, so he's not going to be able to get enough out. He's pulling the SCVs to try and deal with this, but just so little armor supply. And nice force fields there from Corregidor, keeping all of those SCVs actually back, forcing them to take a really awkward path, and Zealots going to town on this army and SCVs as well. Protoss is on top of the production of the Terran player, which means CG is going to have to tap out, so Corregidor will indeed even up the series, make it 1-1 here. So GG to him, and GG to Para OP, evening up the series. Our next match is going to be, let's see, Protoss? Wait, what am I looking at? No, ZVT coming up here in set number 3. It's going to be a plat matchup in just a moment once I actually set up things correctly. What map is this? What map are we on? Vonnie. That'll be fun. To an extent, that'll be fun. So this is gonna be our first plat matchup of the day. Oh goodness, my neck just made a lot of sounds. My dog has been going insane for the past 15 minutes. I've had to mute my mic a couple times in the middle of this, so he would stop going insane. But he's still just losing his mind. Forte. Yeah, that got his attention. Anyway, we are in our next match here. Spawning in the bottom of Vonnie Research Station in orange from the House of Renegades. Our Terran player, it is Kami. And his opponent in the top from Paragons Perfection. In green, our Zerg player, it's Polyester. Polyester? Call him Paul. I think Paul works, right? Probably. So TVZ, I think we haven't seen a TVZ just yet. We see most every matchup so far, at least non-mirror matchup. I just need to see. No, this is gonna be every matchup then, every non-mirror matchup. Right? I'm not insane. Pretty sure I'm not insane. Probably insane. Doesn't matter. So TVZ Vonnie Research Station can be a really difficult map for a Terran player to deal with, simply because dealing with creep as it goes down these two distinct alleyways, really difficult. And once it gets out of hand, you can be clearing up on one side, but that means that it's probably just continuing on the other side. So if our Zerg player has a decent amount of creep skills, that could be a problem for Kami to deal with here. Here in set number 3 of this best of 9 series. Barracks and gas on the way here for Kami, no surprise. He's looking for just a Reaper expand. Reapers can be really nice on this map simply because there's a lot of space to jump up into the naturals. Pretty easy to get in with the Reaper and get out if he wants to, and keep us alive for a later portion of the game. Just, you know, using them in the game with a bunch of Hellions. Just added annoyance. Actually, it's going to be a Marine first here from Kami, so that's a little bit surprising, I suppose. Not necessarily completely standard. I didn't really expect to be seeing that, but we'll see what he decides to do with his gas. It's going to be for a really quick factory and even possibly... I'm actually just really confused right now. Okay, he's going for a Reaper now. He just actually wanted to keep us to catch out this first Overlord, which is really, really nice. If he's able to do that or not. If he's able to, that's an instant win for him in this early stage of the game. Just knocking down the Zergs, A, his scouting, and B, just that supply. Such an annoyance. And Kami is trying to hide this Marine for a little bit, maybe get the Overlord to come in a little bit further, but in doing so, I'm pretty sure this Overlord should be able to get away. It's a pretty long path for it to have to take, however, so he may indeed lose that, but he is taking a very smart pathing here. He's going to force the Marine, if it wants to come up and kill him some more, so to come up to the high ground here, and at that time, Paul is going to be able to just move his Overlord down into the dead zone on the left side here, no problem. Reaper is just chilling, just waiting to go in, not actually doing anything useful at the moment. If he did go in, he'd be able to see that there's, you know, gas taken. The gas is still being used. Okay, he's going to pull out of gas as to say that. Speed is on the way already here for our Zerg player. So he's going to be able to deal with any sort of early aggression from Reapers, but it's not going to be that. We do have the reactor already on the way and out here for Kami. He's making a couple of Marines, going into a factory behind this, so he's got a decent Marine count and then the possibility of just switching into a lot of Hellions, but that's a really, really quick Baneling Nest here from our Zerg player, so looking like he's going to probably get a little bit aggressive. It's going to be a difficult map for a Bane, but simply because, well, it's a ramp. It's a really small ramp to get in at that. Granted, the depots are going to be easy to break. It's not going to be a bunker up front or anything and a lot of other buildings, but still. And with the early Hellions, we're going to be out as well here for Kami, and possibly Widowmines, even if he wanted to go that route. He's got a lot of options available to actually deal with this early bust. And there's going to be 20 Lings on the way, actually, so that is a whole lot of Lings out on the map. Going to be out on the map already, and expect to see a lot of those turn into Banelings as well. Already 126 gas available here for Paul, so he's going to be able to make at least 10, if not a lot more. If he continues making Lings, he's going to actually just try and go into drone production after this. He doesn't have a ton of drones right now. He's only at 22, so he needs to get on the map and actually doing something, especially he doesn't want to get this scouted out by these first few Hellions working on the map. If Kami gets really... If he's on the other side of the map with his Hellions, when these Banelings actually start morphing in, it's going to be really difficult for him to actually hold this push. To wait and see. Reaper does see that speed is finished. He hasn't really seen much of anything else because that opposite side of the map is where the rest of those Lings are coming out. There's 4 Hellions out, which is nice, but there's already 8 Banelings being morphed in right now. That's a pretty decent number. We do have Banshee possibility. There we go, Banshee on the way with Cloak as well. So if Kami's able to at least hold this initial bust, he should be in a pretty decent position. And he does see, well, he sees 1 Ling pop up. It's a lot of Hellions here, actually. The Banelings should be able to get in and kill at least one of these depots, but beyond that, I don't think they'll be able to kill much else. The depot actually does go down. He does wisely use the Banelings on the middle here, on the factory, so both depots go down, which will supply block Kami pretty decently, but with nothing but Lings left over and all of these Hellions still here, this is completely... this is done. There's nothing else that this push is going to be able to do. He's still making Lings at this point. He's still making 16 Lings. He's trying to rally across, but there's so many Hellions already available. This Hellion's going to be able to be made into Hellbats soon as well. And with this Banshee out, this is going to be an added something for Paul to have to deal with here going into the middle section of this game. I'm curious to see if Kami's going to go for some sort of push of his own here. The depot has finished, so he can't actually get out. He was actually momentarily blocked in. Just because both of those depots were building, so you couldn't actually get out. But A lot of links on the map here. Miscontrolled here by Paul, who's losing a lot of his units. He needs to send these lings back home, probably make them into banelings so he actually deal with his attack, because it's going to be... he's got seven Hellbats moving across the map right now. He could have kept those as Hellions to move across the map a little bit faster, but with the Marine support as well, this is going to be extremely difficult for Paul to deal with. He's actually throwing down a couple of Spine Crawlers as well as a Roachborn here at the front. Even throwing down a Spore Crawler to help deal with the Banshee that's coming as well. This is going to be seen by Kami's Reaper. He does know that it's going to be the case. It's still a lot of firepower here for our Terran player if he wants to push up into this ramp or not. It could be good, could be bad for him, especially with these 2 Spine Crawlers and with some transfuse energy available on these Queens. Well, the Banshee's getting on top of this, trying to see what he can do, trying to get rid of the Spine Crawler if he's able to, but there's not a whole lot here. Actually, the Banshee's going to go down, so nice pickup there already for Paul, dealing with that effectively. There's 4 Queens here, so this should get pushed away. A lot of Banelings about to finish up. Those Banelings just roll on forward into these Hellbats. They should be okay, and even without that, the Queen should be able to clean this up pretty easily as well. There's a lot of gas that's had to be forced to use here by Paul into all of these Banelings. So probably not the most ideal of situations for him, but he has survived. Both players thus far have survived, which is pretty much all they want to do at this point in the game. Camby does have a couple extra factories coming up behind all this. No third command center just yet. Actually adding an engineering bay. Has he seen the spire? There is a spire on the way, but he hasn't actually seen that is the case, so doesn't necessarily know that is coming just yet. Can probably maybe assume, or maybe just be afraid of it in general, so he doesn't want to just lose instantly to a quick Muta switch or something. So the engineering base coming down, he's going to have enough money to make a few turrets, and right now the limiting factor here for our Terran players just is gas. He doesn't have really much gas to speak of. He's just now finishing up the 2 gas in his natural base, which means he's going to be able to make a lot of Hellions, which is, I guess, neat. Getting blue flame for those as well. He's even making Marines still at this point, just trying to spend some money, trying to get some army supply. Realizing he's pretty far behind on that, but he could push across the map right now and do a ton of damage. If he just got active with the Hellions themselves, roll it across the map. There's nothing but a few Banelings over here. There's a few Roaches as well, but he can just micro against those. Be extremely annoying with that. I mean, if he wanted to get really brave, he could just dive into the main base with some Hellions. Get a lot of worker kills here in these mineral lines. There's only a few Queens really to defend the mineral lines themselves, but no such attack coming out here from our Terran player, so this game's going to go on for a little bit longer. We do have an infestation pit as well coming here from Polio, so actually he canceled the Spire even, so I think he realized it was mech and decided, yeah, I don't feel like dealing with that. It's going to go into Roach Hydra, and most likely, are we going to see that upgrade? Are we going to see this Ormos upgrade or not? I think it's probably possible. It's a strong likelihood we're going to see some Stormhost in this game, but Paul, he's moving on the map a little bit here. Trying to get a little bit aggressive, but not much of an army to speak of. He's got, what is this, 10 Roaches and 7 Banelings against this much of an army here from Kami. I don't think it's going to go so well for him. The Banelings are directly on top of the Hellbats, which is nice, but the rest of Paul's army is just going to melt at the 73 army supply to 42 right now. We got 8 Hydras on the way. If Kami just continues moving across the map, he's going to be in a really nice position to just, well, he can probably just kill Paul at this point. If he really wants to. He's actually trying to surround the Roaches with the Hellions if he's able to. Luckily for Paul, the Hellions don't really do a ton of damage, but there's a lot of them. Hydras have joined this fight as well here for our Zerg players, so with the Queen supporting, is Kami just going to back off? He's going to continue pushing against the thing. He's going to continue pushing for the time being. He's going to scan clear up some creep as well. There really isn't much of an army supply for either players here out front. There's a lot of Hellbats, but there's a lot of other units here for our Zerg player. He's only got Queens at the moment, however. Most of the army from Kami is still alive. He's got a lot of Marines actually to support, which is an interesting little addition to this, and with the Thors as well. There's really nothing left over right now for our Zerg player. He's just trying to make some units as he can. Some Roaches swinging in from the behind, but he has lost his third base. We have 144 supply to 58 right now. Some more army units moving across the map, slowly but surely here for Kami. This is a really awkward map to try to make mech work on, simply because you see the situation now. Getting reinforcements across the map is extremely slow. It's an extremely slow process, and in this time, Paul is able to get a few units actually created. He may actually be able to do some amount of work to the standing army of Kami, but there's so much Terran army here, and with +1/+1 on those as well. Paul trying to make some banelings to try to deal with this. He's going to lose his Roach Warren as well. He actually lost both of his Evo chambers even, so no upgrades for a Zerg player for the foreseeable future. And I doubt you're going to get much further into the foreseeable future for that matter. Terran army is inside the main base here, and Paul is going to call GG. So Kami will take it for House of Renegades. They will go up 2-1 here in this series. So, just it was an interesting open there from Paul. He was going for that early Bane bust, but it did absolutely nothing. All of the Banes got used. I mean, he killed 2 depots. That was the bulk of what he did with that more or less all in at that point. If he had a ton more banelings left over, or a lot more lings left over, possibly could have gone in and done a little bit of damage, but as it stands, he wasn't quite able to do really anything with that, and he more or less lost in the game at that point. So I'm going to get into our next set. It's going to be our first legitimate diamond matchup. It's going to be the first diamond matchup that's supposed to be a diamond matchup at least. It's going to be AKRD versus Womack, a TVT, a diamond TVT, so it'll be a lot of fun. Womack's been around, well, he's been around since RNG's been around. So he's a decently known player, at least, in concerns with the CTL. It's going to be on Infernal Pools, actually. So an interesting map for a TVT, especially considering where they possibly could spawn, could make for some decisions to be made by both players. An interesting Reaper jump-up location behind the bases, but we are going to be spawning here into our 4th set, and spawning on the right side. His team is down 2-1 from Paragons Perfection in red. It is AKRD. And his opponent in the top left in teal from House of Renegades, also a Terran player, it is Womack. So I'm intrigued to see what these players do. I haven't seen a ton of Womack. I know he's been around, but I haven't really seen him play TVT too often. I haven't seen a lot of players play TVT too often. It's a really fun matchup to me. I don't really necessarily enjoy playing it because I'm not good at it, but I think it's a good strategic kind of situation. A lot of decisions to be made, and the positioning is such an importance in TVT. It's always an importance in StarCraft in general, but I think in TVT more so than most of the other matchups, because tanks are not mobile units, and tanks usually are seen in TVTs, so unless both players do something really, really weird, expect to see tanks at some point in these games. And also, the early game meta that we've been seeing in HOTS has been really, really cool to see. The game switch from just always Marine tank to what can you do in the early game, like Hellion elevators, just even going for weird proxy situations. Proxy Thor actually exists and actually can do some damage if the players aren't careful. But both players so far relatively the same. We do have a gas here from AKRD, so that's going to be the difference at this point. We have a gas coming up from Womack now, so it's a little bit of a later gas, which could lend itself to that Hellion elevator style. I just happened to say at AKRD, more of the gas looking possibly like it could be for Banshees, but still a lot of time left before any tech is actually chosen by either player. Once 100 gas comes here from AKRD, I expect to see something thrown down by him. I actually have a second depot come down this quickly from AKRD. It's not sure why necessarily he did that. He doesn't really need it at this point, but go ahead and make that. I guess he may be afraid of, I don't know. Just wants to pigeonhole the SCV scouting a little bit. Actually, Womack doesn't actually see. Okay, there he goes. He didn't actually see where his opponent is. He was actually walking away. But he's going to see it now. He's going to go to get in. He does see the gas, so he does know it's there. He does see the factory is on the way, so he knows the timing of that a little bit. But it's kind of weird because this extra depot, the factory's a little bit delayed. So unless Womack was really attentive to the gas that was actually taken in mind from this refinery, he may not know exactly what was going on here. We have a reactor on the way here from Womack, actually. No factory just yet from him. He's got 100 guys here in just a second, so he could throw down factory relatively quickly, but he's got a second command center on the way as well, so he's going to be trying to expand, but doesn't look like AKRD has that in his plan, at least at this point in the game. Still only on the single gas, so looking like he's going for some Hellions with these early Marines, making a reactor on this barracks as well so he can get some more Marines out if he wants to. Just going for that elevator play, and considering this little jump up point for the Reapers could be really nice in this map, or in these spawn points for both players, or not for both players, but for AKRD. 2 elevator his units on top there, but Womack realizing that's a possibility, putting one of his depots over in that location, just making sure he's not going to be caught off guard, just suddenly appearing, at least to the point of not letting AKRD get his entire army up on the high ground before he notices, which could be quite a disaster. We have a second gas here for Womack. He does have a starport on the way. Nothing but Marines in production so far here for Womack. I'm expecting, there we go, Tech Lab coming down on the factory, so probably going to be seeing Banshees out of him, or maybe even just a defensive Raven. We do have a medevac on the way for AKRD, and he's already sitting his Hellions across the map. Wants to get those in a decent position so he can actually get aggressive with those. May try to run into the front of the base with those Hellions as he's dropping with the Marines in a different location, but it's a lot of units here for our Red Terran player, and not really a ton out. There's a lot of Marines here for Womack, but the early medevac is such a huge boost to the staying power of any early Terran units. The Hellions are swinging around to this lift up location, so he can elevate those up if he wants to do that. It looks like he's gonna be his play here in this stage of the game, but with enough Marines out, if Womack's able to spot this, he should be able to get into a decent enough position to deal with this, but still going to be annoying for him to actually push this away completely. The depot will help out. He does see that this is here now. There's actually a wood mine as well, and actually it looks like AKRD doesn't want to commit to this, knowing that the wood mine is there. He doesn't want to push into that. He's just going to try to find either a different path inside, or just completely abandon this at the moment. There is one Raven out here for Womack, and he's got a Viking on the way as well. So that's what he's using all of his gas on currently. We do have a second command center on the way here for AKRD. It's on the low ground as well, so he's not going to be very far behind for long in regards to economy. But he's actually a little bit frightened by, he actually didn't necessarily see that the starport was there, but he has to realize it's probably there. He saw a factory with no add-on, and you didn't see the starport, so you gotta probably assume it's gonna have a Tech Lab starport. Thinking it could be Banshees throwing down quite a few turrets here. He's got one in his main mineral line, one by his production, and one in his natural mineral line as well. So does not want to get caught off guard by any Banshee. That's not gonna be the case really, at least at this point in the game. Just some Vikings and that early Raven out for Womack. AKRD has, he's starting to get some SCVs down to his natural. Womack has yet to move his CC down to his natural base just yet. Looks like he may be a little bit afraid of that drop still going to be coming in. We do have a scan coming down from our Red Terran player. Just check and see what's going on. Just wants to confirm what it's going to be. He actually sees 2 extra factories, so he knows he's going to be playing up against mech, which could, force him to do something relatively soon. May not want to get caught into a game where he's playing against mech as a bio player, at least later on. Doesn't want to let his opponent get situated absolutely the way he wants to be. Womack has a lot of Marines right now, given that he's going into a mech playstyle. That's a whole lot of Marines. That's kind of interesting. There's only a single tank right now, and looking like AKRD just wants to try and break the natural, but with only a single tank of his own. Looks like the Viking count. Viking count right now, we got 2 for each player. So it's going to really come down to positioning. And if AKRD is going to be able to actually push into this natural or not, having the Hellions is definitely going to help, but the tank shell goes down immediately. Takes out a couple of his Hellions and a few of his Marines as well. AKRD has set up his first tank. He's going to get that in a decent position. Just outside of the range here of Womack's tank. And still the threat of a drop does loom there. We do have the Raven here for Womack, so he could try and use that pretty offensively if he wanted to. If he wants to throw down, looks like a PDD first actually. Wants to deal with any Viking shots, give himself another little bit of an advantage here. And he actually throws down, there he goes, he does throw down a Seeker missile onto the tank. He's going to do a good amount of damage to that. No damage to anything else on the map, really. with the second tank here as well. Womack doesn't. He has no high ground vision, so this tank's about to get shelled and killed off here. He sees that now. He's gonna try and get out of there, but it's not gonna be possible. And still, Womack is just shelling away here. He's trying. AKRD is trying to break this natural, but it's just not really gonna happen. I don't think. I'm not really sure what this is accomplishing at this point, other than just losing units at the moment. Behind this, Stim is on the way, but it's still really, really far away. We're 12 minutes here, 12 minutes into the game, and there we go. AKRD is going to pull out of here, realizing he has no chance of really breaking this. He could try and go for a drop into the main base. There really isn't much there. There's a few Marines. Actually, there's 8 Marines. That's a little bit more than a few. And I feel like the Widow Mine's there as well. Yeah, the Widow Mine is there as well. So he can, if he wants to, defend pretty well against the drops. The Hellions are going to look like these Hellions from Womack. We're going to try and get into the natural perhaps, but they do get scouted. Still could get past here. There's still all these reinforcing units here from AKRD. Should be able to deal with this. Looks like he may just be looking for a third base, which is not going to be down just yet. And he will lose the Hellions, but it's not a huge deal for a meching player losing 4 Hellions at this stage of the game, especially considering the fact that he's taken a decent kind of army supply lead given those early engagements at his own natural ramp. Got a lot of tanks out here for Womack already. He's already got 6. He has unsieged those, looking like he may want to start moving across on the map a little bit. He may get caught out, actually, both players moving on the map at the same time, which could spell disaster for either player if they are not paying too much attention. AKRD, he's realizing what's coming. He's siege the tanks in a pretty decent position. He gets a scan down as well. He's going to catch a few of these tanks actually out in the middle of nowhere, unsieged. Stim is not yet. Actually, Stim did just now finish up. He could stim forward and take out the rest of this army. And actually, one Secret Missile does go down and kill off a lot of those Marines, which is nice. But so many tanks just went down there for Womack. He just lost so much. Not really paying attention to what was going to be in front of him. Lost pretty much his entire ground army at this point, which is really, really rough. It's a lot more difficult for a meching player to actually replace his army, and it's looking like AKRD is going to use this little position again, siege that area up, and then drop into the main base and get on top of the production of Womack, and just make this an even rougher situation here for our Teal Terran. There we go. 2 tanks moving in a position to help the high ground here. One of them is probably going to get sniped off really, really quickly. Yeah, one gets sniped immediately. Another one's going to get sniped immediately as well. I don't think he expected to see Marines there, so a little rough there for AKRD. Pretty poorly played, actually. He lost a lot of units for no reason. He probably could have taken out this entire force up here if he just would have expected some sort of defense up there from Womack. Maybe he was only expecting to see a turret and nothing else. Medevac just checking out and seeing if there's an extra base anywhere right now for AKRD. Just wants to see what kind of economy his opponent is on. Behind this, AKRD has taken his own gold base. So he's going to be ramping up that mineral eco pretty solidly here in the next few minutes. Worker count is still even, but that third CC has not been thrown down by Womack. Probably not going to be on the way here for a while. He's still trying to replace his army. Once again, being caught out, not sieged, and he's going to lose a lot of his tanks, if not all of them, getting directly on top of this entire army. There's a Secret Missile about to explode on all of this as well. He does get away from this, but no siege tanks remain right now for Womack, which means all of the tanks here from AKRD is going to be rolling right into the natural base, and that's probably going to spell the end here for our Teal player. Looking like AKRD is going to, he's going to take this set, going to take the map, he's going to even up the series 2-2, so congratulations to him. Boy, for the time being, I am going to take a short break, because if I don't, I will probably start coughing into the microphone, which would be less than ideal for all of you. So we'll be back shortly. Do stick around. Once again, this is the CTL. I'm TB Ham. You can find me at TBHamSC. You can follow the Chobo Team League as well at Chobo Team League. ChoboTeamLeague.com. Find us, go join. Bronze 3 Diamond players, always welcome. And do stick around. I'll be back relatively quickly.